So I also see a Strat and a Telly on stage. Looking forward to hearing you play some solid body.
I got the Telly is my setup for slide.
Okay.
So I just put heavier strings and raise the action, and then I switch back and forth between open D and G on the Telly.
Very good.
I like to have another guitar just for slide. If you want to get a fat tone, you got to use heavier strings, at least a 13 or 14 on the high E string.
Okay. And do you strictly use a steel slide, a glass bottleneck?
There's all sorts of fancy slides now, and the first slide that I ever bought was just a plain old Dunlop slide, and it fit good on my third finger, and I still just use that slide. I know there's all these boutique bottlenecks out there and stuff, but that plain old Dunlop sounds right to me. So, and they're comfortable. I guess whatever fits over your knuckle. A lot of people like the pinky, and pinky's okay to me. I feel like I can control this finger better, and then I like to be able to play chords with my pinky. If the slide's on this finger, I can do that.
You can do that.
I like that. Some people prefer it on their pinky, so then they can play fretted notes like this. But for some reason, I feel like I can more the other way. But
I use my ring finger too, but I've never been able to get chords happening. I don't know if I'm just uncoordinated, but I sometimes wish I could play with my pinky just so I could have these freed up for chords.
Yeah. Well, they're not big chords. They're just little 2-note, 3-note licks and stuff, and boom, 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 that kind of stuff.
Right.
Pinky's good for that. I don't know. What was Elmore using? Was he on his ring finger?
Good question.
I can't remember. I think Nighthawk's on his pinky. I think Muddy was on his pinky, wasn't he? So.
For sure. Yeah.
So either way, either one's fine.
Yeah.
And people ask me that all the time. But.
I know for years I used to see you playing a Blackface Super Reverb. And
that was my only amp forever, and I moved to Chicago, and all of a sudden I realized that everybody thought it was too loud. And then I got kind of wimpy carrying that around. You know how that goes. So I got a Vibrolux, and that was me that was the perfect size because it was still loud and a little lighter. And then I got a deluxe reverb, which was even a little more, breaks up a little quicker.
Sure.
I think the Super is the greatest sounding Fender amp all around, but I rarely seem to be able to turn it up.
There she is.
Yeah, let's turn that thing up. Yeah, is that the one that I used to have? I sold it. I want that back.
Yeah. I've sold a couple myself.
Yeah, but boy, if you get that up to 4 or 4.5, it's the greatest thing in the world. But
so they play louder in Wisconsin. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. When I played back in the blues bars and all the biker bars with Liban, and you could crank that up to 5, and that was living back then. But
wow. And now tonight I see a Princeton reverb.
I know, I'm going down. I know.
What's
I
next?
thought that was too loud. Yeah. So.
And is reverb a big part of your sound, Joel?
No, I like having reverb, and I love the Blackface amps because they're very versatile to me. I love tweed amps, but when you play, you're kind of stuck with a tweedy sound, and which is a great sound. But sometimes Blackface, you can go more distorted if you want. You can keep it clean. I love the tremolo, and you got reverb. And I'm usually about 2.5 with the reverb. If I start to notice that, I feel a little uncomfortable. But for blues, if you turn up the reverb a little bit, play some Magic Sam, that sounds good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You have a new record out, Joe. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I bought it right here so I could hold it up. It's with my band, The Modern Sounds, which are with Bo Sample and Alex Hall, and we are all the music you were introducing me with. That's what we play. We play everything from old 30s jazz to swing to blues, rockabilly. So we just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And we call it The Modern Sounds. It's actually named after this Ray Charles record, Modern Sounds and Country and Western Music. It just kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah.
And there's that old record label, Modern Records, which I kind of stole this.
Sure. BB recorded from Modern.
Yeah, BB, and I think I have a John Lee Hooker Boogie Chillin' 78 on Modern.
Yeah.
So I always love that logo. Back then Modern was, to me, Modern always sounds like it's from the 50s. When I hear the word Modern, I'm like, oh, the Modern era, 50s. So cool. Anyway, so this is a double disc. We put 2 covers on it, and this one's called Hold It Fellas, which is named after Elvis on Milk Cow Blues Boogie. He said, "Hold it, fellas, that don't move me." So this is our kind of all rockabilly and blues stuff. It's more rockin'. And this one is our early, I'm playing the Charlie Christian guitar here. This is our early swing and jazz little mellower.
His graphics are amazing. Man.
Oh, thanks.
Really.
Yeah, I
so
do all
authentic.
those on my.
You do these designs?
Yeah, I do them on my computer, and
yeah.
it's a lot of help from. I asked a lot of help from people, but my girlfriend's a good graphic designer, so I pick her brain, and I just look at a lot of old LPs. You know, I love LP artwork, and
Ventrella Records.
yeah, that's our record label.
I like that. So you just played a pretty major guitar festival out in California that Deke Dickerson
Yeah,
hosted.
have you ever been to that? It's
I haven't.
You should go. It's awesome. It's called the Guitar Geek Festival, which is aptly titled, and it's this day-long event. Dwayne Eddy was the headliner this year, and he invites all these interesting guitar players that you've never seen before. He brings them out of the woodwork, and we got to play a little half-hour set. And
yeah, I saw Honey Boy Edwards was on the bill.
yeah, and I backed up Honey Boy. Deke said, "Oh, bring Honey Boy out," and I was like, "Are you sure you want to bring Honey Boy all the way to California to play?" And it was great. He was excellent, and it's just fun. It's a great fest because you can actually play all the stuff that a normal audience falls asleep for, and then you go there and you're like, I said, "Who wants to hear some Tiny Grimes?" And everybody's like, "Yeah!" I'm like, "Oh, nobody ever says that." It was great.
Great.
But I would go. I think it's always during the NAMM show. He holds it across the street from so you can wander over there and wander back. But Deke has a million oddball guitars, and he lines them all up.
And tell people about Deke for those.
Yeah, Deke Dickerson is a great. You know, I say rockabilly. He's in the rockabilly scene, but he does so much more. He does a lot of Western swing, and country music, and he can sing it all. He's a real entertainer and a great guitar player, and he's a fixture on the LA scene, and puts a lot of events on. And we go on tour with him.
Now you mentioned Western swing. I know that's a style that you also play. I've seen you play some pedal steel and lap steel.
I play the pedal. We have a record out of all steel guitar instrumentals also.
Wow.
And
how'd you get into that?
man, I just bought a steel. I bought a beginner steel, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to learn this? And I actually I took some lessons from this guy named Ken Champion, who was a great teacher in the area, and he got me going, and I just got obsessed with 40s and 50s and 60s country. And there's some great players on that stuff. And you were talking about Charlie Christian. All those guitar players were into jazz. They were all really good. Charlie Christian swing, Bob Will's band. All those guys, they played Charlie Christian instrumentals. And
did you listen to Jerry Byrd much?
Yeah. Oh, he's the king of the lap steel. He didn't play pedal, but he is the greatest. They call him the master of touch and tone. I think that's his nickname. Great guy to study for nice tones, nice even vibrato. Yeah, I love Jerry Byrd. Jimmy Day is another name, and Buddy Emmons. Those are my big heroes for the steel guitar.
Great. Are you pretty much self-taught on guitar, Joe?
Guitar, yeah. Like I said, I just got into country blues, and I learned from records.
Learned how to finger pick by yourself, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much just from listening to Blind Blake.
Yeah.
Because I was obsessed with Blind Blake, and I studied that stuff. And later on, when I got into Merle Travis and Chet Atkins, I was like, wow, I already know how to do this, because he does the same thumb patterns as Chet Atkins all the time. The same imitating stride piano. So it was, when I got into that stuff, I'd already kind of had a crash course in learning the independence. You have to learn how to play a bass line and then be able to play a little two-finger melody on top of that, and kind of have your brain separate the two. Once you kind of go over that hurdle, then you can start playing some Chet and Merle Travis. But they didn't invent that. That stuff goes back to Blind Blake and Mississippi John Hurt, and who knows before them who was playing like that before recording.
Yeah, a guy like Blind Blake, you listen to him, it's like hearing an orchestra.
Yeah, he's amazing. I know. I transcribed a few of those songs. I think I've forgotten them by now, but yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. What method do you use for transcribing? How do you go about that?
That's funny, because when I first started, the best thing to do is put a LP onto a tape. Because back then, you have a record and you're trying to bounce the needle around. It's a disaster. So you put it on a cassette tape, and if you get a nice little classroom cassette player, you get some good action with that. And I still like to do that. Even I have a hard time with a CD going back to the right spot. And iTunes, I do a little bit, but there's nothing like the cassette tape. I know there's programs, I should, that computer stuff it slows
Right.
down stuff, and I get too lazy by the time I get all that hooked up, then I've
Right.
lost interest of.
And for our viewers who might not know what a cassette tape is or looks like, Joel, do you think you could describe one?
Cassette tape. Well, if you really like the girl and you really want to impress her, boy, you decorate that cassette tape, man. You make her a country blues mixtape and put it in fancy lettering.